Hello everyone, it's Marie Dolo from Vibrant Art Visions. I am starting a new art challenge. It's 30 days art challenge. I'm going to be drawing one flower per day. It's drawing, and normally I do lots of mixed media, collage, painting, oils on the top, but this time I'm going back to basics and I'm going to be drawing. So this is my first flower. Yes, I spent a little bit more time on this because I recorded like introduction video for you. It's probably 1 hour. Obviously this flower took me a little bit longer, so there are shots of the process, and you will see the complete process of how I went about sketching this flower. And I also want to join you. I also want to invite you to join me on this journey. So please, if you like drawing, if you're interested in drawing flowers, or just want to have a go at it, this is your chance. I am having a private Facebook group where I'm going to be showing my drawings every single day. I'll support you there if you have any questions, and just want to have fun together. This is my personal project, so it's something that I like having a lots of ideas about what to do with these drawings, because I want to then create something interesting drawing, but maybe partially like painted, or use my drawings then later on as a collage in my paintings, so yeah, I don't know yet what kind of comes up with from the challenge, but I know that I want to create like a series of some flower drawing. At the moment I like peonies. I like to paint peonies. So my first flowers will be certainly peonies. But as I said, if you want to try, if you want to join me, I'll be very, very happy. I am going to post links to my Facebook group, so you are more than welcome to join. I hope to see you there. Bye. Let's talk about materials. For this challenge, I'm going to be using this sketchbook, which is 8x8, so it's a square. But I wanted to show you that obviously there are some other versions. This is rectangle, Winsor & Newton. I don't know, this one is, I think I bought it from Hobbycraft actually. Crafted things, yeah, I think I bought it from Hobbycraft, if I remember. This one, as I said, is from Winsor & Newton. I have no idea where this one comes from. This is like a bigger size. It's a bit yellowish paper, so I'm not gonna use this one, but I just wanted to show you your options. You don't need to necessarily use journals or sketchbooks. You can use separate pieces of paper. That's completely up to you, honestly. Another thing to mention is obviously I'm going to be using pencils, different kind of numbers. This is H, this is 3H. These pencils I'm going to be using for sketching, because they are hard pencils, so it will, like, the sketch will appear quite light. So this is for sketching. And then I have 9B, which is really kind of like soft and dark, 4B, 3B, and 14B. This is probably the darkest pencil that you can get. So this is like a light pencil, and this is softer pencils. B's are always softer pencils, and obviously with softer pencils you can achieve like darker tones, and with 14B like really darker tones. So this is like this pencil I'm going to be using for sketching. And it's good to mention also rubber. So you can see this is like the putty rubber that I am going to be using, and you can shape it, it will be for rubbing some of the lines or creating values. And the last thing, it's your reference images. These reference images, I believe, is from Stock Cake, I believe, or Pixabay. I'm not quite sure. It might be even from Pinterest, but obviously I will be doing sketching, so it's not gonna look exactly the same thing. I'm not aiming for perfection here. I just want to create sketches for my own personal projects that will follow after this challenge. So yeah, I will have, obviously I will create 30 sketches, one sketch a day, and I will have 30 different images of different flowers. But I like peonies and I want to create more peonies painting in the nearest future, so I want to have some sketches of peonies before that, because I'm going to use these sketches in a slightly different and creative way when I finish it. So that's all about materials. You can use also different materials, right? You can also use maybe charcoal, you know, or other things, pencils perhaps, or water soluble pencils or markers, or it really doesn't matter. I'm just like kind of happy that you're gonna join me. Before I show you how I sketch, so it's just a little intro, but before I show you how I sketch, I want to point out, especially if you are new to sketching or drawing, I want to show you values of like what these pencils can do, and want to also look for when you start sketching and creating values in your drawings. So I'm going to start with this is like a normal pencil that I bought from a package, but they are usually kind of like hard pencils, so usually H. And I'm standing, I'm holding the pencil at the end, so kind of in a loose way. That's how I sketch when I'm sketching. And you can see how light, you know, the pencil, it's a hard pencil, so the value is quite light. Obviously I can put a little bit more pressure on it. You can see how it kind of like changes. I'm tilting the pencil also to the side, so it's not like painting like that, and it's not certainly not painting like that. I'm just holding it at the back, and it kind of speeds up the process. So depending on the pressure, you can go like really light if you don't put so much pressure on it. So pressure matters. All right, remember to experiment with pressure. If you put more pressure, obviously it gets slightly heavier, but it's still relatively light. Something like in the middle is B, so I'm just want to show you the difference. This is 4B, so if I am using a 4B, and this is like relatively light pressure that I am putting there. All right, it can get darker, and when I put more pressure, you can see that it gets darker. Yeah, there is a difference between this and this, like not that much, but can you see this is like really light and this is much more heavier. So I need to experiment, and let me introduce 14B. So 14B is quite dark, so you can see that you can create kind of really big depth. And let me put more pressure on it actually. So you see the difference, right? So if you want to really create some really darker areas, you will not be able to do it with H pencils. You will not, you know, it can go as much pressure. It's not gonna create such a depth and such a dark value like high numbers of B, for example. So I just wanted to point out that, you know, that this is like H. So anything like H plus, it's very hard pencil but very light tones, and this is like B plus, yeah, H plus, B plus, and this is 14B. All right, just wanted to show you. Let's start sketching. I am still standing, I am not sitting, because that will kind of allow me to have like a looser pencil and create more like freer sketch rather than just sitting and being very close to the pencil. And before I do that, I want to do a bit of measurements. So here I want to kind of have a more better kind of like a view of my subject, which is the peony flower. So I want to kind of like see where I am standing from, so I'm just using the edge to the kind of to the center, if you call it, and pushing it up so I can see that this is just a little, that like this part and this part is kind of equal, but this petal kind of finishes just, you know, it's just shorter than half slightly. If I'm cutting it there, it's kind of the same distance from here to there, and then also kind of similar distance from here to there as well, so that I just like roughly want to know what's going on. You can also kind of like divide, you know, the page if you want to. I mean, it's not necessary for this purpose, but you know, there are different ways how you can kind of keep the proportions right. All right, but you know, this is supposed to be a bit more looser, so and this is not like tutorial how to sketch. This is more about how I sketch, kind of giving you a little bit of guidance. So I know that like kind of, let's keep this like that. This is the middle bit. I'm using the H pencil, you know, and so this is the middle. I want maybe the flowers be up to here and then up to there. If I'm keeping this distance, for example, so let's see that this one might finish over here and this one probably the same. So I've got just like, you know, kind of, yeah, creating a little bit of the measurements where I want the flower to be. And let's start sketching. So I am looking at this petal. I can start literally anywhere, but for this particular thing, I'm gonna start like with this, and I'm looking at also like the directions, yeah, of the petal, like the directions of the angles, especially the angles. So looking at the angles. So I'm using it quite light, and I just start sketching. It's more like a blocky, really. I am not necessarily creating something that is like beautiful. I know that this is this angle, so let's create the angle. Yeah, so my sketching is kind of messy to start with. I'm gonna soften it later, moving to here. Okay, this is a little bit here. Again, there is the angle over here, a little curve over there, goes kind of over here, yeah. And I might not get it correctly the first time. I just want to like sketch it, honestly, just how it is. I'm doing this petal here now. Nothing fancy. I am not focusing on the details at the moment, and this is my way of sketching. I'm not saying that this is correct of sketching. This is just how I sketch. All right, so don't take me like, you know, like a master sketcher. I don't know even how to call it, but I'm more like a painter rather than like person who draws a lot. But I want this is my personal challenge, as I said, so I want to use the sketches actually for different use. I don't know quite yet what I am going to be using it for. I know I want to use it later on for like different experiments, so I need some sketches, and I just thought like, well, if you want to join me, then certainly join me in this process, because I know some of my students who attend my in-person classes, they always say, oh, we never do much sketching. Well, here's your chance to do a bit some sketching. All right, so you can see I'm moving literally from petal to petal. It's not precise. I am not aiming for like hyperrealism or anything. You can see that my sketches are quite loose. You know, it's okay to have a messy lines, completely fine. You can, you know, later you can make them a little bit more nicer if you want to, honestly. You know, this is just like creating some kind of like a form and shape a little bit there. You know, this is wider perhaps, you know, but kind of constantly be checking. And let's move this one. This one might be a little bit exaggerated, but that's fine too. There is a fold, so let's create some fold over there. Okay, there is kind of, I can't really see the petal over there, and I can see that there is more like a more curve, bigger curve. So let's create bigger curve. Over here, this one is a bit shorter, so I'm not gonna go into details. I'm not quite sure whether that's a petal or not, but looks like it. And voila, I'm not gonna be bothering with the leaf over there, just kind of like a shape of the flower. I quite like this one to be maybe a bit bigger. Maybe this petal actually kind of, I want to make it maybe a bit bigger, so I'm gonna push it more down here. Maybe, yeah, see. All right, so this is my basic sketch. Here we go. We've got the stalk as well. Let's create some space for the stalk actually. All right, just suggestion of the stalk, and this is my basic sketch. As you can see, I am starting to tidy up, so I'm going through petal to petal and try to, you know, kind of wrap off the excess lines and make it nice and tidy. I am still keeping it quite loose because I might still like change it, but you know, I'll just show you maybe a few petals how I go about this process. So let's start with the petal like over here. So I'm just like looking at the shape. Again, I am not aiming for perfections, yeah. I am just like tidying up. It's not gonna be exactly the same thing. I am just like trying if it looks like a petal, that's completely fine. You know, I'm trying to wrap the excess lines there and even make them kind of like very, very light. And because I'm gonna be rubbing off when I start sketching, so I'm still keeping it quite loose, but you know, kind of just trying to get some of these shapes or similar shapes. Yeah, I'm looking at the angles now. I am noticing kind of like some of the like mistakes that I've done. I'm not talking about I don't want to say like mistakes, but you know, some kind of like maybe angles that are not like perfect. And then I'm using this beautiful rubber, yeah, the stretchy rubber called putty rubber, or yeah, I mean, I don't know, I know them as putty rubbers. They might be called also differently, but for example, can you see when I sketch, I use like angles or look at the angles, so you can see, for example, that this end of the petal compared to this one is kind of like at this angle, and I have it completely wrong, but because there is also not space, alright, but it doesn't matter. I mean, like in this case, it doesn't matter. This is not hyperrealism or anything. Still looks like a petal, still fine. Here, for example, this angle, can you see this like finishes if I draw a line here, it should be finishing here on this petal, and it's exactly opposite. It's kind of like a longer than its petal, but again, it doesn't matter. But it's good to notice, all right, because if you were drawing a portrait, for example, well, that would be a huge again, not mistake, but kind of misproportion, and that person probably not even look like a person. All right, unless you're doing like a caricature or something that is not necessary, that it doesn't need to look like the real person, something whimsical, you know, with big eyes or small noses and big mouth or tiny mouths. Yeah, that will be just completely fine. Yeah, so for this purpose, can you see I'm just like going around here, just rubbing off some of the lines, make them maybe a little bit like cleaner, going more intentionally about the shapes. Yeah, I can see that there is a fold, so I'm just creating some fold. Actually, again, it doesn't need to be precise. It's just like, for me, I like that it actually looks like a petal. That's it. Yeah, I make the lines quite light. Please do not press unless you want to actually do the outline. I don't usually do outlines in my sketches. I focus quite a lot on the shadows. That's how I've been taught, and I like it that way. Actually, I like learn the process that way, where I don't use the outline. I very rarely use outline also in my paintings. So yeah, here I'm just gonna clean this. So this is about like cleaning the lines, and I'm just gonna continue in my own pace when it's when everything seems to be like nice and tidy. I'll come back and I'll start sketching. I'll show you how I sketch.